Chapter 8. Chapter 8. We've made it to Chapter 8. Course is now starting. Home life and budgeting. Right? Home life and budgeting. It's a very important chapter that we have to get through. We have to get through it. Home life and budgeting, right? Very important part of our success in our truck driving business in our company. So this is where we are now. Home life and budgeting. And next we got trucking etiquette, which is some cool stuff that we need to know to increase our probability of doing well out here, right? Here's chapter 8. Here's a picture of me doing some home stuff. You know, I'm cutting some holes through some wood, about to run some electricity. I'm wiring up this building we bought. And then eventually we put, insulation in it. Walls, lighting. Me and my brother-in-law hooked it all up, put marble floor down. Actually, the building I'm in right now. You can see in the background. So, first time doing all that type of stuff too. Pretty fun. Here we go. Chapter 8, home life and budgeting, right? So, I'm just going to read straight off like I've been doing and commentate around it. It really doesn't matter how much money you make if your home life and budgeting isn't top notch. Okay? The lower you can get your bills at home and the more disciplined you are with money, the quicker you will see your bank account balance grow. All right? Let's read that again. The lower you can get your bills at home, which is your overhead, and the more disciplined you are with your money, the quicker you will see your bank account balance grow. Right? Hopefully this is common sense. The more disciplined we get with getting our bills low at home, the more disciplined we get with our money, and the more we focus on getting our bills low at home, the quicker we will see more money left over, and it'll rise into our bank account. So like I said at the closing of the previous chapter, imagine a styrofoam cup, right? Imagine pouring water into this cup. When the cup is in great shape, it will hold the water, right? On this same cup, if we were to cut the bottom out of it and pour water into it, the water will pass right through the cup as if there was no cup. This is the trap of debt, overspending, lack of discipline, lack of planning, and more. Right? This is the trap that many people get caught into. They continue to try and make more money, but just like the cup, they can't hold on to it because of their negative habits that are causing a financial hole in their operation. This financial hole can come in many shapes and sizes, and depending on the size of this hole, it can really drain an entire operation dry. I'll list some of the top ways people create this financial vacuum, or we can call it a financial hole. So I'll list the ways starting now. They are not living within their means. So it's okay to treat yourself and live your best life, of course, but you need to pace yourself, especially in the beginning. And remember, if your business doesn't have money, neither do you. What you spend should be proportional to what you have in cash. And what I mean by this is, when a millionaire goes out to buy a $65,000 Ford F-150, it's not that big of a deal. But if someone buys a $5,000 car cash and only has $10,000 cash, this person just spent 50% of their cash at once. 50% of their net worth at once. Well, that's kind of an assumption there, but 50% of their cash at once. Boom. 50% of what they're worth, so to speak. Let's just say there's not other assets involved. But the millionaire, he or she only spent 6% of their liquid cash to buy this new F-150. It's a totally different ball game, right? So this person has $1 million, so when they spend $65,000, they only spent 6% of their money, compared to someone who only spent $5,000, who only had $10,000, and they spent half of it. They spent 50%. That's the type of stuff we got to be careful for. Just because we have $10,000, does that truly mean we can afford this $5,000 car? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves and be disciplined on. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but that's for each person to figure out. In the beginning, it might look like you have enough money to go eat out a lot, buy a lot of drinks and stuff at the truck stops, shoes, clothes, but it all adds up. In trucking, you must first secure $20,000 to $30,000 cash. First, this is my opinion. You must have $20,000 to $30,000 cash in the bank, not credit cards and all that stuff, but $20,000 to $30,000 cash at all times before you start to often buy more personal stuff. And why do I say that? Because of what it says right here in this box. A motor rebuild can be in that $20,000 to $30,000 range, depending on make year, and model. Now, of course, on our pre-emission trucks, we're going to be spending more around $10,000 for our motor rebuild. So, point being is, if you don't have enough cash to rebuild your motor and you're out here playing around, blowing money, then you do not have your priorities in order yet. It's just one of those reality things we have to face. We have to buckle down, especially in the beginning. We have to be tight with our money as we get to this $20,000, $30,000 cash. Then we can start loosening up more, but still continue to build. So that way we know our trucking company pretty much won't fail, because one of the biggest bullets they can throw at us is a motor rebuild, and we'll have more than enough to pay for the rebuild and keep it moving. Which will be, motor will be great for a very long time after that. Possibly $1 million plus, depending on year, make, and model. So I advise to get your business straight first, and your fun will be waiting on you. Your fun will be waiting on you. I watch plenty of guys go through this from the start, and they stay disciplined, and next thing you know, they're buying vehicles for themselves and their family, and they're doing well. And sometimes they're buying cash, or get their land, and because I'm not rushing the process of like, oh, I got to reward myself with nice stuff right away, but my business doesn't even have enough money to truly operate. So it's great to be positive and be like, oh no, I'm going to be fine. But the reality of it is, we want to be prepared, at the very least, to handle a motor rebuild. So right here in the green, I go on to say, wouldn't you rather build your business first, knowing that it's rock solid, rather than just having the illusion that you are solid, right? You could look well, have the car, have this and have this, but really it's a lot of bank notes at that point, so really don't even own anything a lot of the time at that point. But you might be looking good, starting to put gold and different things like that, but it's kind of, wouldn't we rather to have our business actually rock solid than just looking like we're rock solid? If you're not past $30,000 cash, then you are not as solid as you might think. I don't want to be negative or be a bubble burster, but we need to climb over this $30,000 cash. If we really want to be competitive and have a long, nice business and journey out here with our truck driving business, we need to keep at least $30,000 cash at all times. Make it a goal to have at least $30,000 cash ASAP. Make this your desire, as we mentioned in chapter 2, to really focus on that being what you want, what you desire, and let it be the fire, and it'll happen. $30,000 liquid cash, make it your desire to have $30,000 liquid cash by a date 1 year from now. So, if it's January, February, March, like we said in the beginning, I'm going to have $30,000 cash in the bank by December 31st this year. Keep on telling yourself that, and you will believe it, your subconscious will believe it, and then the all in the universe and God believes it, and everything around you starts to more so reflect that reality that you already accepted, because now you're doing the activities and the actions to make it happen. It's like magic, but at the same time, it really can be broken down and to see why it works. But in a sense, it is kind of like magic, because we just start doing the things that we need to be doing because we're focused on what we want. You will need this money for creating the financial floor part of your operations foundation. So we're about to talk about financial floor. So then once you touch 30,000, aim for 50,000 cash. Then keep building up. 70,000 cash, 100,000 cash. Then once you reach that 100,000 cash point, you're pretty much you're on your way. As long as you don't go crazy at home buying all sorts of expensive stuff that cash and stuff, pretty much on your way. You're good to go. You're pretty much rock solid at that point. Then keep building up. You'll be glad you did. So this is what I call financial floors. Somebody else might use this term already, I don't know, but I just started calling them financial floors. Like, let me just read. Once you reach your next financial floor, make it a commitment to yourself that you'll never go below that amount again. You may have $55K $55,000, but if your financial floor is set at $50K, then you really only have $5K to spend. And even then, don't spend it too fast, right? Remember, this is a very key thing to remember when it comes to impulses and urges. When we feel like we need to buy something or do something, maybe sooner than we need, sooner than we've worked it to be, which is this. Boom. Remember, it's a lot quicker to spend money than it is to make it. Say it with me. Remember, it's a lot quicker to spend money than it is to make it. It's way quicker to spend money than it is to make it. So let's just keep that in mind. You know, we might have a nice amount of money going, or we'll have a nice amount of money, but then we'll spend like a 500, then a 500, then a 300, then a 500, then the next thing you know, we just spend a couple thousand, and it's like, oh, okay. Be careful, because it's a lot quicker to spend it than it is to make it. A good businessman and a good businesswoman is in it for the long run, right? We are in it for the long run. You know, I'm sure you want to be in it for the long run, have success in the long run, whether it be just in trucking or you use trucking to get yourself to your next business, right? But we want long-term success, and permanent success requires discipline. But the discipline is very rewarding. That's what I'm telling you. The more you save, the more you take away your stress in trucking and in life in general. When you're financially strong, you don't have to rush and worry so much. Remember, sacrifice now, live like a king later. Think about how much less stress, you know, it is to drive around knowing you got at least 30K in the bank, 20K in the bank. Right? So you're not like, oh, geez, you know, I gotta, you know, get a couple of checks together before this next one, so hopefully I don't have a breakdown. And it's just a very stressful way to work, and a lot of us get caught in that trap. And do what you can to avoid that, you know, to just keep it pushing, don't get caught in that trap, save your money, be disciplined. And that's why we're talking about this, home life and budgeting. Hey, Andrew, what does this have to do with trucking? You know, we're starting to figure out. We're starting to see, right? Because if this part of our lifestyle is not intact, then it's going to be really difficult to do well in trucking. So boom, next reason, not saving enough money. A lot of people really don't save their money, I guess, because I still see these statistics. I think that it's like 50 to 70% of Americans do not have more than $3,000 in the bank. Don't quote me on it. It's a statistic I see floating around from time to time. But yeah. To me, this is crazy. You have to be patient. You have to remain disciplined. Keep growing and learning and getting better at what you do. You're bound to have the money eventually to do and have the things that you want and desire the most. Patience. As a trucking entrepreneur, you definitely have to save your money so you can be prepared to tackle big jobs and repairs when need be. Go out and get yourself a nice meal, for sure. But save. Always keep that into the mentality that you want to make your money stack. You want to make it stretch. Especially, I'm gonna keep on stressing this, especially in the beginning. And what I mean the beginning is until you clear that 25K, 30K mark. You should be saving almost all the money you make. Literally. Reinvest, of course, into your business for future gains, but on the personal side, you should be saving almost everything you make until your little purchases become so small in proportion to your bank account balance that you can hardly notice any money missing when it's spent. But even then, be easy with the money. See, like an example is this, is I just purchased this recently. This is Penhalen's Cario. It's cologne. Right? It comes from London. It's not really sold here in America. It's an amazing smell. But this is a $300 bottle of cologne. Cario. But when I bought this bottle of cologne, I didn't really notice any money missing in my bank account. Because it's proportional. I was patient in the beginning, save my money. So here we are, I walk it, like I'm walking it like I talk it. So like I'm saying it from this point where like, okay, I just bought this cologne and I don't notice any money missing in my account. Now, it doesn't mean I need to go buy every cologne that they got and do this and do this and do this and go get an Audi A5 at the same time. Probably not. But I wanted to get this cologne. It really inspires me, opens up my senses, amazing smell. So I buy. But even at this point, what I'm saying is, that's what it looks like to spend proportional, okay? Got to make our money last. Make our money last. Then we won't have to rush and get caught up in the rat race and all that so much, right? So boom, the next reason. Home bills are too expensive. Their home bills are too expensive, right? I would not want the bills that some of these guys out here have as trucking entrepreneurs, right? They got the new 5-bedroom house, boom. The new F-150, boom. A new car for the wife, boom. A new boat, and they pay for their kids' cars or colleges. And we still got all the regular utilities and entertainment. So we're looking at some people are looking at $3 to $4K a month just in the home bills. We haven't even started talking about the business side, the trucking bills. So then here in the red, if you add you add in the truck note, maybe a trailer note, general liability and cargo insurance, then you might be looking at it $7,000 a month or so. That's without a lick of maintenance. That's without even doing any maintenance. So you tack in another $1,000 or so a month for maintenance, give or take. That'll equal $8,000 a month in overhead. And depending on the maintenance and other factors, it may be higher. This is insane. This is the reality we don't want to work ourselves into. And if you're in something similar like this, you know what you got to do. You got to start knocking these things down one at a time and don't add any more new ones, new loans and advances. So this means that this person now must make over $2K a week just to break even with all their expenses. Well, let's be real. A majority of owner-operators are not consistently netting over $2,000 a week because they chose these, basic operations. They hired dispatchers, they factor, don't have the right field discounts, and overpay on maintenance and etc. So they're already just like way fighting an uphill battle. With this type of overhead at home and business, you can't even afford to stay home. So that's one of the crazy things about it, right? I think many people live too fast. Not only can this person not afford to stay home, they're not really able to build up their bank account balance either. Dang, they're just breaking even. Just paying for all the stuff they got too early. And not even able to go home and enjoy it, right? That's the whole, kick in the back about this whole thing. I keep my bills at home super cheap. No wonder why people look at me crazy when I tell them I only drive 6 months a year. For real. Now my home bills are super cheap, even though I'm going to start construction on my house. My wife and I have been, we got the land a long time ago, and we knew that we were going to build here, but we're going to start construction on that. But even then, I don't think I'm going to take out a big loan. I think I'm just going to build it like, put $10,000 in at a time, $10,000 until we build it the way we want. Go and build a container home. I want to make a container home that's tornado proof. Check me out. So, next reason, success starts in the home. It does. This means that if you're married or together with someone, they need to understand your sacrifice that you're doing out here truck driving and making all this happen and working all these crazy long hours and stuff. That they need to be frugal and they need to save money as well. And they need to save money well. Not just as well, but very well. They need to be money conscious. And this person cannot spend your business money out from underneath you. This business money, is for business. Period. Don't let anybody back at home spend through your business money that's supposed to be there for you. Why? Because you don't want to go do that repair and you can't do that repair now and credit card, your card declining. You're like, what happened? I thought I had 5K in the bank. You got to spend at home behind you. So if you're together with someone who is negative with money and is constantly blowing the money, how can you ever get ahead? A new respect for money has to be agreed to, between your, who you're married to, your loved one, and etc. You guys got to sit down talk about money, and agree that both of y'all are going to have to respect money, and a new slow is the deal. Still live well, but slower for the long haul success. Still go out and eat, still do out night, get nice things, still have a subscription to the shows you like to watch and whatnot, but it has to be agreed that you just can't go out every time you go out just buying $30, $40, $50 worth of stuff every time and more, and then getting notes and cars and pressuring like, I want to get this car and we really don't need it because we have a car already. No, you got to cut all that stuff out, buckle down so you can get ahead. A lot of truckers think they just need to run more miles or stay out longer, when in reality they need to fix and improve their home life. A lot of times this is the case a lot of the times. I'm not saying go break up with whoever that you're with, but do have these important conversations, please. It must be understood that the bank account balance has to be at a certain level. It has to be understood all bigger purchases will be discussed together first. Oh, geez. Excuse me. It has to be understood that if y'all sacrifice together now, you won't have to sacrifice and settle for less later. For real. You must work as a team and not against each other. Big simple thing to remember. You must work as a team and do not work against each other. And what I mean by working against each other is spending money behind each other's backs and doing all sorts of weird stuff like that. I highly suggest having separate bank accounts, separate checking accounts. It almost never seems to work when the husband and wife or the couple shares the same account. When a couple shares the same account, the blame game becomes common about whose fault it is when the account balance gets low. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. You did this. Remember when you bought that and you bought beer and then you did this and you went out and, well, you buy all this and that and you go up. No. By having separate accounts, you can avoid a lot of this potential drama. And as a business owner, you need to know, right? You need to count on having your resources, your money, exactly the way you left it. No surprise, thousands of dollars missing. No going to pay for a part or service and your card gets declined because of what got spent at home. No, right? Can't have it happen. This is a business. We got to be responsible. All right. So P.S. Now here's the give and take to it too, right? It is my opinion that if you are the main one making the money, then you should also be the main one paying the bills at home too, like the big bills. Take care of all the big bills like insurance, car note, electricity, mortgage if you have one, etc. Just to be fair. All right, here's another one that gets a lot of people. They do what? They get committed to large non-business purchases too soon, right? Large purchases could be a house or a car. Large purchases like a house or a car can really cripple a startup trucking business. Keyword startup. If you're still in your 20s and you're single or together with someone, do you really need an apartment or a house yet? When are you going to live in it, right? Same thing with a car. When will you really be able to drive it? I know you might want to come home on your home time and have this car and look like you're doing well, but let's just look at the bigger picture here. You might be able to enjoy this stuff 4 days out of the month, but you're tied down to these bills. And, right here in the green, I say that's one of the beautiful things about our trucking business is that we have a bed and shelter everywhere we go. It might be difficult to keep it cool and warm inside sometimes, but hey. Now, if you have a kid, it will be different, of course, because chances are you will need to be providing a home of some kind or helping to afford a home of some kind. But some companies that you lease onto will let you let your kid or your kids come with you too, right? Your kid, which is super cool, I think, because I think a young kid, especially if there's two parents in the truck, would be an amazing learning and bonding experience for the young man or woman. Most parents don't get to spend a lot of educational time together with the kid. The first 5 years and the next 5 years are when the foundation of who a child will be is developed, right? In this way, you will get to be there to completely influence, what's going on. It seems like a really cool opportunity. I would do this because I know my responsibility. My kid would be at my speed and more. So that's another option too. To come travel out as a unit. If you're young and you already have a child, you're still cool, with the mother, or you're still cool with the father, vice versa. Y'all come out here and travel together, raise the child together, and have a family on the road. Child will be able to see so much, and you get to influence, the early developmental stages of who your child will you get to be when they grow up. Get to put that confidence in them, get to put love in them, let them see all the different places. Here's the St. Louis Arch. Anyways, let me not digress too far. But if you don't have a kid, here's the thing too, though, right? But if you don't have a kid, I suggest just staying out here and stacking your money up. If you do it right, you'll even have enough cash to buy your own home outright with no bank if you choose to, or with only having to borrow 30 to 50%. That's what I did. I told my wife when I was 23, and we got to talking about it, and I was like, look, there's no sense in us paying all that extra money for a house that we never get to live in and a car we never get to drive. I told her, hey, what do you think? Let's just stay out here long enough until we have enough money to pay cash for a home. And then once we do, then we'll move and we'll have a home and we'll go from there. And that's what we did. Originally, we got our first 1 acre, and now we have over 2 acres. It's about 2.5 acres of land out here in Louisiana. Plenty of room to park my truck, and it's peace and quiet. We've got 2 homes on it. Like I said, we're gonna build a home from scratch soon. I want to break ground in soon, 2022. Do something at least. Get it started. Instead of just waiting to have all the money to do it once. Just start. Just put money into it and keep it moving. And we're close to a major city, but in the country, right? So the house may not be the nicest, but in due time we'll upgrade again, and we're in no rush. See, that's what I'm saying. The point is, we really enjoy our property and privacy, and we don't owe anybody anything. We stayed out here, made it happen, paid cash, and that was that. So really, in a sense, kind of finished after that point. But, I keep trucking because I do enjoy to do it. And I got other businesses that I see myself doing going forward. And they take money to start up and stuff like that. So it's all good. And plus, it's always nice to just keep on letting the bank account build. So we can do things like what we want to do now, get our next home going, stuff like that, right? I bought my first property when I was 26 or so. So you see, the sacrifice wasn't even that long. Just think, many adults will never own land in a home of their own. And the ones that do, they usually take about 30 years or so on a mortgage. So I was able to do that at 26, and that was pretty cool. So really, that was like 3 or 4 years. Well, about 5 years into trucking, but 3 years into really having my own truck. Now, if you are patient now, go hard in learning this business, which is what we're doing now. You're doing it now. I'm helping you get through it now. Make great deals and be disciplined and consistent. You can really get ahead in life. If it is your desire to own land in a home of your own. If you want to rent, have a condo, be by the beach or something, cool. In the beginning stages of a trucking business, it can be real tough to get the ball rolling and to build your bank account balance. So don't make it any harder than you have to by taking on large purchases like houses and cars too soon. Aim to save up enough to buy these purchases in cash. It's okay to leverage, with credit too, but just if you can do it with cash, cool. Once you pay for your home, you basically can retire from trucking if you want and start another business or work a relaxed job of your choice. Or you can do what I do, go trucking whenever you get ready to. I usually stay out 2 to 3 weeks and then stay home for a month. In the busy seasons of summer and flatbed, I may stay out for longer and go out more frequently because the money is so strong in the market. But that's how I can afford to live this lifestyle, because I didn't take on large purchases too soon, and because I created an operation in business. I've created an operation in this business and at home that is very cheap to run. Next reason, they get into high percentage debt and tax issues. Be careful and pay attention to detail when it comes to making any deal on a loan and credit. I use credit cards, but many are not disciplined enough for credit. They max out their cards and only pay the minimums, get stuck paying 17 to 20% or more in compounding interest, and they get trapped. Don't get trapped in these high APR, annual percentage rate, bad credit deals. Some of these credit card deals have crazy compounding interest that is just simply not in your favor. A couple of 6 months go by, look like somebody put some voodoo on your bill. You're like, what the? It's okay to carry and use a credit card. Actually, I use a credit card for everything that I buy on the road. Gain points, easier to refute fraud. Then I just pay it off at the end of each month. And that's what I say here. Just make sure you pay the balance off in full every month. That way you're not dealing with interest fees, and you can get cash back points depending on your credit card provider, and you're also building credit, right? So another thing I like about using credit cards, from my research, it's way less liability on you if your card gets hacked or stolen, or no cards get stolen and stuff like that. According to my research, you will get your money back a whole lot quicker and with less drama of having to prove it wasn't you compared to using a debit card. Another thing to note here is taxes. If you don't pay your taxes in time, you get stuck paying interest fees on taxes as well. So just like with the credit cards, be careful here. As a business owner, you're responsible for paying your share of taxes, right? The part we all love. And I do have a chapter. We'll do have a program on taxes. We'll go through. A part we'll go through on taxes. I believe it's chapter 28, maybe. You have to be disciplined. Disciplined enough to hold on to your money throughout the year so you can pay your taxes in April in one lump sum. Remember that. You haven't paid taxes on your money yet. So just always have extra money too so you can pay them taxes. If you're not disciplined enough yet, then I suggest that making what's called ES, those are the estimated tax payments into the IRS, at the end of every financial quarter. So January, February, March, before the end of April, just go ahead and put like $2,000 in or $3,000 in for estimated tax. If you feel like that the whole year is going to go by and you may not hold on to the cash like we need to be responsible for, so maybe in the beginning you could do that. And right here I say $1,500 to $3,000 every quarter is a nice place to start. If you end up overpaying, that's fine. You'll just get your money back in the form of a refund. If you have already paid taxes before, you can make the amount that you owed last year and divide it by 4. So say if last year you owed $10K, you can just divide that by 4 and pay in $2,500 4 times a year for the current year that you're in now. This will give you the number that you need to pay every quarter, right? Don't let taxes or credit cards put you into a death spiral of never-ending compounding interest. All right, that's the warning on that. Just be careful with these high interest credit cards, loans, and taxes. They will come back around and just do the worst. So be responsible. Save for and pay your taxes. And if you use credit, excuse me, use it tactically and for a purpose. Pay your balances off every month. The only time I won't pay my credit card balance off completely at the end of the month is if I took a 0% interest offer from a credit card company to make some bigger purchase that I just wanted to leverage cash. In this case, I will take the purchase price. Let's say if they give me $8,000 in credit and I need to buy something for $8,000, I'll divide that number, $8,000, by however many months I get 0%, which is usually 18 months or something like that. And whatever that number equals to is what I pay each month until it's paid in full. For example, I did an example here. So for example, and we'll get to wrapping up this home life and budgeting. Very important chapter, right? Hopefully I put a positive, just warning into you, just to be concerned. I'm not in the scare tactic business, but just like a stern, be careful warning, and just to stay tightened up at home. Don't buy things too fast. We'll get into the summary here in just a sec. But for example, for this 0% credit card interest, like a $10,000 purchase divided by 18 months at 0% interest would be $555 a month. So if you paid $555 a month for 18 months, you would have $0 extra paid in interest fees. And it would essentially be the same thing as buying cash, just spread out in time with lower payments. So sometimes I'll do that, and that's one of the keys. As you're building up better and better credit, you'll get these offers for 18 months, 0% interest. So maybe if you have a project that you want to do at home, or you do something like this, and you're like, okay, I want to get this $5,000 thing all at once, or do this thing all at once, but I really don't want to pay for it all at once right now. Maybe you got 35, 30, 25K, or even, you're past your 50s now and you're getting into your 70s and 100s. But maybe you just don't want to spend all that money at once, because maybe you just been off a month or two and you're just like, yeah, I'll just put it on the 0% card and just pay it off in time. It's the same thing as buying cash, but you just don't pay for it all at once. But the key thing is to not get too many of these things going at once where you're like, whoa, I got way too much money going out. So that's one way that I use these 0% cards for 18 months from time to time, right? It even got me out of a jam early on when I first got started. I was able to put 2 of these together to get like $10,000 cash to help pay for my first motor rebuild in the beginning. I was doing too much too soon. I had multiple trucks running, and it was just learning experience, right? That's why I'm here. That's one reason why I'm qualified to do this with you, all right? To do this program with you. Summary. Let's sum it up. There are many books and topics when it comes to budgeting, but it's really simple. We can pretty much sum up all this into one headliner right here, which is don't spend more than what you got. Don't spend more than what you got. Don't spend more than what you got. And if you're extra smart, you will act as if you have no money, even though you do. Yeah, it's just, yeah. It's just, yeah. And what I mean by that, let's just read to see if I explain that. The financial floor that I mentioned is real. A large portion of your money should be off limits for spending, right? If you just take your business serious, you should have no problem with budgeting. You can't just go out buying everything you want, of course, because you got the money in the bank. Believe me, it gets tempting. You walk by a car like I could buy that car. I can get that car. But should we really? Probably not. Yes, of course. Please do get some things that you want, but be patient for the rest, especially in the beginning, until we get to that proportional part where we buy something like I said, I got this Penhalen's Cario, $300 cologne, but it's just like not that big of a deal. It will come, the money, right? Your success, it will come. It will come. You have to agree with me right now that it will come. It will. So pace yourself. Self-control is a very important part of success. A lot of smart money managing and budgeting is to not overpay for things. Let me read that again. Self-control is a very important part of success. Self-control. A lot of smart money managing and budgeting is just, like we said, to not overpay for things. Do things yourself, like maintenance. As you get more into the groove of that. Buy in bulk when possible. Cooking for yourself, and etc. Let's do a couple of examples of these, right? Let's take a bottle of water, for example. A 24-pack of Crystal Geyser spring water is like $3. But at the grocery store, 3 of these same bottles cold will be $3. So buying in bulk, you get 21 more bottles for the same price as what you would pay for convenience. Keyword convenience. The same is true for many parts and aspects of life. Convenience cost. See, one thing that you should notice is that convenience does cost. When things are convenient, that's what I call a convenience store. It's not the whole grocery store that got just a couple drinks, couple of this. We're on we're ripping and running, we're putting diesel in, we're getting gas somewhere. So now we got this cold, fresh drink, and it's convenient. So now we pay full price compared to what we would pay if we bought multiples, bought in bulk at once. Aim to not buy everything at convenience. Sometimes we buy things at convenience, whatever. But aim to not buy things at convenience cost. A convenience cost is like paying $20 for a gallon of oil at the truck stop when Walmart has the same gallon of Rotella for $13. A convenience cost is like paying $2 for that 20-ounce cold drink when you could buy a 2-liter for the same price. A convenience cost is like paying for tools at the truck stop, a $15 adjustable wrench compared to just buying them at Harbor Freight or Home Depot in advance. If you have a negative habit of buying everything at convenience cost, you will find it a lot harder to come up and build your bank account balance. Because think about it, maybe you overpay a little bit here, but if you're overpaying on almost every part of your life, there's so much money going out. 30% of that money you probably could have kept, give or take. Before you can learn the rest of what it takes to be successful, you first have to master this frugal but elegant way of living. Right? Simplicity defined by elegance. It's simple, but it's elegant. Simple, elegant. Simple and elegant. Frugal, but elegant. Might not get certain things at convenience, but we still provide an elegant way of living. Common culture will have you think that you're not even supposed to check prices, right? You're just supposed to go in there and just ball and stunt and all these things we were taught to do, right? Just buy it. Just do what the movie stars do. Do what the famous people do. But you, I think, are not common culture, right? You're going to be successful. So think about the food deserts in different places, in overpopulated, like very high populated neighborhoods, and in the slow country towns, right? Because of the lack of competition in business, these few places of business charge customers a higher price for convenience. It's a bad ripple effect that usually ends up hurting the community. Let's take let's take like the greater Chicago area, where we get into certain neighborhoods where there might not be somewhere to buy food from. Like you gotta go block, boom, boom. You got this whole area where you got quite a ton of people of living, but there might be only one place to buy a grocery, or in certain areas it might only be the corner store, like a convenience store. So when everybody in this community is paying overpriced for convenience, it usually ends up hurting the community because there's less money to go up and do other things, and and to stimulate growth. It's hard to save money and build up your bank account balance if you're overpaying for everything, right? Stop overpaying for stuff and start to really pay attention to how every dollar is spent. This is what I advise. If you are overpaying for stuff right now, just go ahead and do what you can to put a stop to that and start to really pay attention on how your dollars are spent. Now, of course, I'm not saying you have to be cheap about everything, but there is a balance that I think you must find in order to be competitive in this business or in any business. When you find this balance, you realize it's frugal but elegant in nature. You will still buy nice things, food and whatever you need, but you will do so in a frugal way. And like I say, I gotta show this box again. This cologne is not even really sold in America. Like I didn't see it. Maybe in New York City and LA, but I didn't see it being sold anywhere in Atlanta and different places. So it's imported straight from London, and so we still buy nice things. So this is elegant, but it's still simple in its nature. What I do, but the result of it is elegant. I'll come into a room and boom, I'm carrying this smell of Cario, a very foreign smell that pretty much guarantee that nobody else around is going to be wearing. Sometimes this just means holding off on a purchase until the price is right. Sometimes this means buying less of one thing you are going to buy multiples of. This also means paying attention at the register, right? Because mistakes do happen at the register, and if you don't catch it, you just got overcharged again. So don't let people steal your money, right? You worked hard and you worked smart for it. Do what you can to keep it, And seriously, like when you buy something on a discount at the store, at a grocery store, say you're buying $100 worth of food or whatever, and it's supposed to be about 70, you get to the register and they're like $100, and you're like, okay, I need to make sure that those discounts took off. There's nothing embarrassing about that, and just keeping up with it, making sure that things got charged right. Sometimes you might buy an item, it's like a $7 item, but it gets to the register and it might ring up as like $20. And if you didn't catch it, you just overspent. So, budgeting ultimately is about self-control. Self-control, common sense, and not buying off of impulse. The more you master these three things, these three elements, the more you will be a master of your future, right? Which is self-control, common sense, and not buying off impulse, which is also having patience. Not buy off impulse, have common sense about, not overpaying for things and paying attention and doing what you can not to buy at convenience prices, and just self-control. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, stay vigilant, pay attention, do your basic math, know your prices, know the true value of items. Don't overbuy. Don't rely on credit for everything. Don't make bad credit interest deals. Keep your home expenses low. Make finances an important value at home with your loved ones. Move as a team. Don't buy at convenience prices very often. Find ways to lower what you spend. Enjoy being frugal, but with taste. Plan for your future. Have faith. Have faith in yourself. Know what you want. Set financial floors and goals. Be in it for the long haul. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Slow down and just take your time. Only the strong and financially clever will survive. So pay attention and never stop learning. So here in the red, we've got a little bit more warning to go through, and we'll wrap this chapter up so we can keep it moving, right? But this is very important. And I say right here, do not take this home budgeting and financial discipline lightly. Don't take it lightly. If you mess up your money at home, you're going to make it 100% harder for you to run your trucking business. You need money in the bank. You need what we call a financial cushion. Think about how much lower your stress and your worry will be when you're rolling around out here with at least $30K in the bank. You got to stay down if you wish to come up. Put in your time so you can get your stripes. Learn how to make more with less. A big part of making more with less is keeping your home expenses low. If you make all these big bills for yourself at home, how can you ever come up? In due time, you will get what you want. You must first put in the work and make sure nobody around you is being sloppy with the money. Have some self-respect for yourself, right? Got to have self-respect for yourself. You are the one out here making it happen and working 2 to 3 times harder and longer than pretty much anybody does just going in and clocking out at work, right? Don't let nobody, even yourself, become a leaky faucet of your money, right? Like a faucet that just keeps leaking. Do not let anybody, even yourself, be that leaky faucet. Keep your money, stack your money, and make your bank account balance grow. I hope I have put a stern warning into you. If you do not master these spending habits for success, you will be spending a lot of time and energy essentially, hopefully not, but getting nowhere. Don't just exist. That's too much like losing. Thrive, strive, and grow. Buckle down because you got this. All right? If you do not master these spending habits for success, you'll be spending a lot of time in essentially running on the treadmill or just breaking even, which is running on the treadmill, or just year after year, it seems like you're just not really growing the bank account balance. And that's what we want to avoid. That's what we want to master and get above that, okay? And that's what we're going to do, and that's what you're going to be able to do too. And if you need another warning, just come back and play this again, and I'll tell you the same thing. That we just, especially in the beginning, we have to have a degree of discipline to ourselves, and that's just what it is. All right. And when we get past our 20K, 30K, we keep it moving. We hit our 50K, hit our 70K, keep 100K, then you roll off into the sunset. Okay. Now, as we continue, all right. So that's wrapping it up. That's home life and budgeting. Like I said, play it back if you need to hear it again. The PDF will be here to read. I gave a lot of big, important traps to avoid that get a lot of people stuck, running on the hamster wheel, running on the treadmill, and etc. So let's avoid those things. Now you know, and really a lot of it's common sense, but I just have to reiterate it and make it visible to you. So if you weren't knowing, or if you were not seeing a couple of these things, now you do, or if you were already knowing, hopefully, you just remotivated to buckle down, tighten up, make it happen, spend money proportionally, and just know and just be confident that you will get to where you want to be. So as we continue, let's go ahead and talk about trucking etiquette, especially if you're new to this trucking. If you need to follow me into chapter 9, our next part, okay? Even if you've been in trucking for a while, follow me into chapter 9. See how you check out. See if you're already putting this etiquette into motion for your success. Trucking has a culture of its own. The more you respect this culture, the more people will help you along the way, for sure. Of course, be careful of shady people, especially if you're a woman, because you know how guys get out here on the road, get all, one-minded, and some men don't know how to have conversations and be respectful and do the right thing. So, but never be ashamed to get help or have somebody show you something or teach you along the way. You can still say you did it on your own if you get help along the way, right? Because it was you that's making your success happen. Yeah. You chose to get into this program. You chose to have this business. You chose to continue working on your truck when it was dark outside or when it was too hot, or it was you. Even though you got help along the way, it was still you. So you can still say, you did it, if that's what you want to say, but because it's right here, right? Because it's you that's making your success happen. If you sat on the couch and did nothing, your success would never come, right? When I was young, I would want to always say, I did it on my own, started from scratch, started at the, from the ground up, out the mud, all that good stuff, right? And it still is. But as a man now, I say, yeah, that's cool and all, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is, were you able to make it happen? Did you get to where you wanted to be? Did you reach your 50K, your 100K? Did you get your bank accounts bound? Did you travel? Did you enjoy your journey? Did you, do great things for people? Whatever. Did you make it happen? Were you able to manifest? By sticking to your pride of wanting to do everything yourself, you can very easily not make it to the other side. So just make sure that you do get to the other side, whether you get some help along the way or not. So let's continue. That's chapter 8. All right, we're going to keep it moving, y'all. We're going to go get right into chapter 9, which is trucking etiquette. I'll see you on the other side, okay? See you.